Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This is where the top 1% marketers and founders come to learn about GTM. Let me say this as clearly as possible. Most marketing teams are not targeting, they are hoping. They hope the ICP is right, they hope the list is clean, they hope intent data means something, they hope the quarter turns. And when pipeline slows down, they don't question the system, they question the persona. So imagine this, right? You had 300 perfect fit accounts once, right industry, right headcount, right titles, right tech stack. 11 meetings came out of it and two real deals. And here is the part nobody admitted in the boardroom, right? And both these companies were already in the motion before we ever reached out. So you didn't create demand, you didn't educate the market, you didn't persuade anyone. You simply showed up at the right moment. And that's not targeting, that's luck disguised as strategy. And this is what killing most pipeline. Because the uncomfortable truth is this: your list is not wrong, your timing is. The market moves every week, mandate shifts, budgets get locked, a CFO joins, a VP leaves, a board conversation changes priorities, but your targeting doesn't change. You build a quarterly plan for companies that change monthly, and then you act surprised when nothing converts. And here is what we are doing in this episode. I'm going to show you the weekly operating system that separates marketers who predict pipeline from the marketers who pray for it. Not theory, not best practices, a rhythm. A way to update targeting every single week based on posture and momentum. So you stop chasing accounts that cannot move. If you want to be in the top 1% of operators, not deck builders, this is where it starts. Because targeting is not about who fits, it's about who is capable of moving right now. And if your system can't detect movement, you're not targeting, you're guessing. And stay with me, I'm going to expose exactly where most teams are blind and why the blindness costs more than the bad copy ever will. So I want to start with how this strategic planning is quietly killing your targeting, right? Most targeting decisions are made in conference room in quarter 1 and then left untouched until quarter 3, right? So you sit down, you define your tier 1 accounts, you allocate budgets, you align with sales, you launch campaigns. It feels strategic, it feels science, it feels coordinated, and it feels responsible. And then the market changes. Not dramatically, not with a press release, just quietly, right? A board member pushes for cost control. A funding round gets delayed. A new CFO arrives and freezes discretionary spend. A VP shifts internal priorities to something your product doesn't support. Nothing about the company industry has changed, right? Nothing about their headcount changed. Nothing about their tech stack changed. But their ability to buy changed completely. And your targeting did not move. So marketing keeps pushing, sales keep chasing, SDRs keep booking meetings with accounts that look perfect on a slide but have no internal oxygen to move. And this is how good strategy turns into wasted coverage. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. How many accounts in your active pipeline right now are in freeze posture? You don't know. How many are in defend mode where they need proof for cost control and not growth acceleration? You don't know. How many are in expand mode but you are sending them defensive messaging? You don't know, right? And that's the problem right there. You're building a 90-day campaigns for companies that operate on 30-day realities. You refresh creative every quarter, you refresh persona every year, you refresh targeting almost never. And then you call result market condition. It's not market condition, it's context blindness. You don't see deals because your ICP were wrong. You lose deals because your targeting did not update when their posture changed. And there is no weekly recalibration, no posture audit, no momentum scan, just inertia. And inertia feels like progress when the dashboards are green, but here is the twist. The market does not reward effort, it rewards alignment, and alignment is dynamic. So if targeting doesn't move weekly, it decays silently, and most CMOs won't see it until the quarter is already lost. Now here is the question that matters. What would change if your targeting updated every single week? Not your messaging, not your ads, your prioritization. What would happen if every Monday you re-ranked accounts based on posture and momentum? And that's what we are going to do next, because targeting is not a decision, it's a control system. So let me talk to you about the weekly targeting control system, right? And here is the fix. Not another persona workshop, not another refined ICP, not more intent data. A rhythm, a weekly control system that forces your targeting to move as fast as the market does. Every Monday morning, before campaign planning, before SDR stand up, before sales forecasting, you run 4 things, not 12, not a dashboard of 40 metrics, 4. Step 1, posture audit. Step 2, momentum scan. Step 3, context reclassification. And step 4, action reallocation. If you are not doing this weekly, you are not targeting, you are broadcasting. And let me break this down. Step 1 is the posture audit. Every account in your tier 1 and tier 2 list gets reviewed through one lens. Are they in expand, defend, or freeze? Expand means they are pushing growth, hiring, investing, and taking risk. Defend means scrutiny is high, budgets exist, but only with proof. Freeze means survival mode, protection, zero appetite. And here is the part most marketers don't like. Posture is not inferred from industry. Hiring patterns, earning calls, leadership announcements, budget commentary, public filings, internal sales notes. If your team cannot classify posture weekly, you're targeting blind. Now, step 2 is for momentum scan. Because posture alone is not enough. A company can be in expand mode and still not be moving on your category. So you overlay 3 layers, right? External pressure, what's happening to them, internal signals, what's happening inside, and behavior signal. How are they interacting? Are they hiring for roles connected to your category? Did a leader join who brought your type of solution before? Are they revisiting proof assets repeatedly? Are sales conversations getting sharper or softer? You score momentum on simple scale, right? 1 to 5. Not complicated, just directional, right? And here is the twist. Most marketers treat all tier 1 accounts equally. But a tier 1 account with momentum score 1 is not tier 1. It's noise. And a tier 2 account with momentum score 5 might be your fastest path to revenue. This is where targeting shifts from static list management to dynamic prioritization. Then comes step 3, context reclassification. You drop each account into the context grid, posture into problem maturity, right? That's 12 possible context, right? 12 realities, not one. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Most of your effort right now is sitting in the bottom left quadrant, freeze and blind, right? Accounts that cannot move and don't even see the problem. But because they fit ICP, you keep pushing. And finally, step 4, action reallocation. This is the part that separates operators from activity managers. High momentum plus expand, senior outreach and accelerate, right? Defend plus defined, ROI logic, case studies and surgical proof. And if they are on freeze and if they're blind, then you do a low cost nurture or pause, right? This is the part that scares teams, because cutting accounts feel like shrinking opportunities, but it's not shrinking opportunity, it is increasing velocity. Targeting is not who you go after, it's who you stop going after. If you reallocate weekly, your pipeline tightens. If you don't, it rots quietly. And this entire process, right, posture, momentum, context, reallocation, can be done in 60 to 90 minutes a week. But almost nobody does it, right? Because it exposes how random targeting really is. Now, here is a bigger implication. If targeting becomes a weekly control system, your entire GTM motion changes. And that's where this gets uncomfortable for a lot of teams. And let's talk about what that actually means. Posture is the first filter, right? And the most teams ignore it. Let me tell you where this breaks for everyone, right? You are going after a mid-market SaaS company, perfect fit, great logo, strong funding history, healthy headcount. Everything screamed tier 1. You ran outbound, you ran paid ads, you push content, your sales worked the deal for 60 days, 90 days, and then it stalled. Not because of pricing, not because of competition, not because of product gaps. Because 2 weeks before you started outreach, a new CFO joined. And in the first board meeting, they cut discretionary growth spend by 20%, 30%. You didn't know, you didn't look, you were still targeting a company in defend posture as if it were in expand. That's not bad messaging, that's bad context reading. And this is where most marketing teams get exposed. They treat industry fit as posture. It's mandate. Two companies in the same industry can sit in completely opposite realities. One just raised Series D and needs acceleration. The other missed earnings and is cutting everything that doesn't show 90-day ROI. Same ICP, opposite posture. If you don't detect that, you waste time persuading people who are not authorized, politically or financially, to move. Posture answers one brutal question: is this organization capable of saying yes right now? Not interested, not curious, capable. And here is the discipline most teams avoid. Every Monday, you should be able to say, these 12 accounts move to expand, these 8 slip to defend, these 5 are frozen, pause. If that feels uncomfortable, it's because it forces trade off. And marketing culture hates trade off. We like volume, we like more at bats. We like telling the board that we are touching 300 strategic accounts, but if 40% of them are in freeze posture, you're not being aggressive, you're being inefficient. Posture is the first filter before messaging, before creative, before channel. And here is the reason this matters. If you get posture wrong, everything downstream gets distorted. Sales velocity drops, forecast confidence drops, customer acquisition cost inflates. Pipeline looks healthy, but conversion collapses. And then marketing says the ICP needs refinement. No, the posture wasn't read. And if you can't read posture, you can't prioritize correctly. And here is where this gets even more precise, right? Posture alone still isn't enough, because even in expand mode, some accounts move fast, some don't, and that's where momentum comes in. And this is where most targeting system completely fall apart. Let's break that down. Momentum is the missing variable. Posture tells you if a company can buy, momentum tells you if it will, and this is where most teams lose precision because they stop at posture. Great, they are in expand mode, let's push. But expand doesn't mean urgency, it means capacity. Momentum is urgency, and urgency is observable, not guessed, not felt, observed. Here is how you score it, right? You have 3 layers, like I have discussed earlier also on this channel. External pressure, what's happening around them, regulatory shift, marketing competition, acquisition, funding cycles, industry shocks, and pressure creates movement. And layer 2 is your internal signals like leadership hire, organization restructuring, new budget ownership, strategic initiative announcement. Internal movement often precedes buying motion. Then the layer 3, which is behavior signal. How are they behaving toward your category? Are they consuming deeper content? Are they looping in more stakeholders? Are questions becoming implementation focused instead of exploratory? This is the part most teams misread. They treat engagement as momentum. It's not. Someone downloading an ebook is not momentum. Momentum is when behavior tightens, fewer questions, sharper objections, more specific constraints. That's moment. And here is the discipline, right? Every week Each tier account gets a momentum score from 1 to 5. 1 is static, 3 is early stirring, and 5 active internal alignment. Simple scale, not over engineering. Now, here is the punch. If two accounts are both in expand posture, but one has momentum 1, other has momentum 5, and you treat them same, you're diluting velocity. You're spreading attention evenly across unequal opportunities, unequal realities, and that's what kills conversion. Because attention is finite. If you don't concentrate it where motion exists, you slow everything down. Let me make this uncomfortable, right? Look at your current tier 1 list. If I asked you right now which 5 accounts have the highest posture plus momentum alignment, could you answer in 30 seconds? Most teams couldn't. They know who fits, they don't know who is moving. And movement is the only thing that converts. And here is the dangerous illusion. When pipeline looks large, it feels safe. But if 50% of the pipeline is low momentum accounts, it's not pipeline, it's backlog. Momentum is what compresses time, and targeting without momentum scoring is just organized optimism. Now this is where system gets powerful, right? Because once you combine posture and momentum and then reallocation weekly, you stop chasing probability and start increasing inevitability. And that's the difference between marketing that explains results and marketing that predicts them. Now let's talk about the part that makes executives uncomfortable, reallocation, because this is where courage replaces volume. Targeting is who you stop going after. Here is the part most marketing teams will resist. The system don't just tell you who to push, it tells you who to stop chasing. And that feels dangerous. Because when you pause accounts, it looks like you are shrinking opportunities, but you are not shrinking opportunity, you are removing drag. Let me tell you something most dashboards won't show you. When SDRs spend time on low momentum, freeze posture accounts, 3 things happen. Sales energy gets diluted, follow-ups stretch, high momentum accounts don't get concentrated attention. Velocity collapses quietly. And when velocity drops, everyone blames conversion rates. But the real issue isn't persuasion, it's prioritization. Here is what relocation looks like in practice. High posture plus high momentum, senior involvement. Fast follow-ups and tight cycles. And if it is defend plus define, you send ROI proof, CFO logic, right, and surgical messaging. And if it is freeze and blind, you pause, you do a low cost nurture and no heavy lifting. And this is where most teams choke. Pause, because we have been trained to believe more touches equals more chance. It doesn't, it equals more noise. If an account in freeze posture with momentum 1, your best move is not more content, it's restraint. This is where targeting becomes leadership, because it forces trade-off. It forces you to say, we are not spending energy here this week. And when you do that consistently, something interesting happens. Pipeline shrinks, conversion increases, forecast stabilizes. Sales trust marketing more because marketing is no longer sending volume, it's sending alignment. And here is the identity shift. 99% of the marketers measure success by how many accounts they are touching. The top 1% measures success by how tightly attention is concentrated around motion. Targeting is not who you add, it is who you remove. And if your team cannot articulate which accounts were deprioritized this week and why, you don't stand a chance. You don't have a targeting strategy, you have a list. And I want to close this out very properly, right? Because this weekly rhythm changes more than prioritizing. It changes how your entire GTM organization operates. And this is the line between activity and control. Let me say this very clearly. If your targeting does not change weekly, it is not targeting, it's habit. You can call it ABM, you can call it segmentation, you can call it strategic coverage, but it doesn't respond to posture and momentum. It's static, and static systems decay in dynamic markets. And here is what changes when you adopt this rhythm. Marketing stops defending volume, sales start trusting prioritization, forecasting becomes tighter, board conversations become simpler. Because now you can say these 14 accounts are in expand posture with momentum 4 and 5. These 9 slipped into defend, we shifted message. These 6 are frozen, we are pausing it. That's control, and CEOs feel the difference instantly, because instead of hearing we are targeting 300 strategic account, they hear we are concentrating attention where momentum exists. That's not noise, that's leadership. And this is the identity shift I want you to sit with. Most marketers want to look busy, the top 1% want to look precise. Most teams optimize activity, the top 1% optimize alignment. Most CMOs defend plans, the top 1% run control systems. The entire anti-persona series is about one thing: replacing static identity based targeting with a real time operating model. Now we go deeper, because posture and momentum still don't tell you everything. There's another layer most teams ignore, and that's where deals really die. And if you think targeting is just about fit and timing, episode 6 is going to make you uncomfortable, because buying is not just economic, it's political. Until then, ask yourself one question: if a CFO joined your top 10 accounts tomorrow, would your targeting change next month? If the answer is no, you're not running a system, and you are running a list, and lists don't predict revenue. I'll see you on the next one. Until next time, cheers.